In this video, I am going to discuss about constraints. There are 6 types of constraints. Not null constraint, check constraint, default constraint, unique constraint, primary constraint, and foreign constraint. Let's see one by one with examples. Now I am going to show you not null constraint. We use this not null constraint when we do not want to keep null values in our table. For an example, I am going to create a table. I am giving the name as student. Let's see our student table. We have student ID, data type is int. Here I am using not null because the student ID shouldn't be null at any instance. And then I want student age. Data type is int and it cannot be null, so I am applying not null constraint. Then student address, varchar type, I am not applying not null here. Let's run this one and see what will happen. Now let's insert some data into student1 table. Insert into table name and then values. Value 1 will be student ID, ID is 1 and age 12, address Colombo. When we are inserting varchar values, we have to put the value inside commas. Now let's run this one. Data inserted without any error. Here is the data that we inserted. Now let's see how not null constraint is working. I will insert another set of data. Then student ID will be 2 and I will keep age as null and the address. Now let's run this record and see the output. Cannot insert value null into column age. Table column does not allow null values, so the insertion fails. Now I will put an integer value into the age column 34 and then I will keep address part null. Let's see what happens. Query executed without any error. This null value accepted into the address column because here I have not mentioned not null constraint. Let's see the output table. Here address column contains null values. Now the second type of constraint is check constraint. In order to explain check constraint, I will create another table. Name of the table is student table 2. The purpose of this check constraint is to limit the value range that can be placed in a column. We have student ID column. Data type is int. Constraint. And then add the constraint name. I will name this constraint as student ID constraint. And then check command student ID greater than 100. I want to check whether the student ID that we enter is greater than 100. Then our second column is name. Data type is Vacha 50. Third column age. Data type is int. Let's run our student table 2. Now I will insert some data into student 2 table. Values student ID 101, name Raj. If it is a Vacha, you have to enter the value inside commas. And then age 23. Run this one and see the output. It got executed without any error. Okay, now let's insert some another set of data. I will make the student ID as 1 and then name Kumar, age 34. Let's run this one and see the output. Here you will get an error. The insert statement conflicts with the check constraint because the student ID that we entered is less than 100. It should be greater than 100. Now let's see what is this default constraint. We use default constraints when we want to specify a default value when a value is not specified for a column. Let's try an example. I will create a new table, name it as student 3. Student ID, data type is int. I will make this as default 1500. Then student age int. Then student name Vaja. We need the salary column. And data type is int. I make this as default 1000. Let's run this one. Let's see whether our table was created. Yes, here is our table. Now I will insert some data. Insert into our table name student 3 and then values student ID 1, age 23, name Kumar, salary 1500. Let's execute this one. This is the data that we inserted. Let's try one more example. Insert into student 3 table, then add values. For the student ID column, I will give the keyword default because I want this default 1500 value here. Then age 34, name Smith. For the salary also, I am writing the keyword default. Let's run this one. Here you will see the default values are added into our student ID column and salary column. Now let's pay attention on unique constraint. This unique constraint ensures that each row for a column must have a unique value. It is just like primary key but can accept only one null value. In a table, one or more column can contain a unique constraint. I will show this with an example. I will create a table. This is my student 4 table. we have student ID, and I want to make this student ID unique. Data type is int and constraint keyword. I will give a name to our constraint key. Student unique, and unique keyword is used. Then we have student name, data type varchar, student age. Now let's run this one. These are the columns. I will insert some data into our student4 table. Insert into student4 table. Then mention the values. Student ID is 1. Name Raj. Then age 30. Now execute this one. Data inserted. I will insert some other data. Values. I will give the same student ID into our second row also. Student ID equal 1. Name Kumar. Age 20. Let's execute this one and see the output. It will give an error. Violation of unique key constraint. Now let's discuss what is primary key constraint. A primary key uniquely identifies each row in a table. These primary keys do not accept null values and duplicate data. I will show this with an example. We have student ID. In the student table, our primary key is student ID because student will be uniquely identified with the use of student ID. Data type is int. Then student name varchar 50. Age data type int. Then I will make the primary key constraint. Our primary key name is student ID underscore primary key. Primary key keyword, and primary key will be student ID. Let's execute this one. These are the columns that we created. I will insert some data. Values will be student ID is 1, name Raj, age 30, data successfully entered. Now let's try another set of data. Then I will give student ID as 1. It is same as our previous record. Name will be Kumar, age 50. Violation of primary key constraint. It will giving an error. Cannot insert duplicate key in object. This is how primary key is working. Let's move to the foreign key. Now let's see what is this foreign key constraint. Foreign key is a column or group of columns in a relational database table that provides a link between data in two tables. In order to represent foreign key constraint, I want to make two kind of tables. One is invoice table and second one is payment table. First I will create invoice table. Invoice number, data type will be int, then invoice date, data type will be date, then order number. Data type int. In the invoice table, our primary key should be invoice number. Let's make the primary key. Constraint, give a primary key name, invoice primary key, and then primary key will be invoice number. This executed successfully. Now I will create payment table. We have payment number, data type will be int, payment date, data type will be date, and then I have invoice number as third column. Data type will be int. Then we need to add a primary key and a foreign key inside the payment table. First I will make the primary key. Constraint primary key name will be payment primary key. Payment number is the primary key. Payment number is the unique identifier of payment table. Here as the third column we have invoice number. This invoice number refers invoice table. So we have to add the foreign key. Constraint name of the foreign key payment foreign key. Then foreign key keyword. Foreign key will be invoice number. Then this invoice number refers invoice table. Then add reference invoice table. Invoice table, which column? Invoice number column. Now let's execute this one. Executed successfully. This is how we add foreign keys inside our table. This is the end of today's video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.